And Councillor Davis.
I'd like to move that a apology be received and a leave of absence granted for Councillor Brumpton for this meeting.
Seconded by Councillor O'Neill. All those in favour? 8-0. If I could have someone confirm the minutes of the ordinary meeting on the 26th of February 2025. Councillor Hancock.
I move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 26 February 2025 be confirmed.
Seconder. Councillor Davis. All those in favour? 8-0. Can I have someone confirm the minutes of the special meeting on the 5th of March 2025? Councillor Vincent.
I move that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 5th of March 2025 be confirmed.
Seconder. Councillor Davis. All those in favour? 8-0. 8.1. Amendment Lot 121 on DL 437, reserved for camping, the water, for water purposes, I presume. Do I have a mover or any questions? Councillor Vincent.
This is just bringing it back in line with all the other ones that are very similar to this.
Through the chair, yes.
Someone happy to move? Councillor Seawright.
I move that Council amend resolution number OM/07.2024/71 to read as follows. In line with Council's Stock Group Management Plan 2024 to 2029, Council 1 advised the Department of Resources it objects to the renewal of term lease 0/238367 over Lot 121 on DL 437. 2. Authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to enter into direct negotiations between the current lessee and Council to offer a trustee lease over Lot 121 on DL 437 for a period of 5 years. 3. Authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to sign documentation in relation to this decision.
Have a seconder. Councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
No.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. 8.2. Major Mitchell Caravan Park lease arrangements. I'd like to declare a conflict on 8.2, Major Mitchell Caravan Park lease arrangement. The declaring councillor is Councillor Wendy Taylor. The person of interest is the Roma Clay Target Club. The particulars of interest: I'm the treasurer of the Gun Club, and as the Gun Club we operate a caravan park. The type of conflict is a prescribed conflict of interest, and the action I will do is leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. If I could ask Councillor Deputy to take over.
All right, the Mayor's left the room. The item is 8.2, Major Mitchell Caravan Park lease arrangements. Is there a mover? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I move that Council 1 receive and note the request from the leasee of the Major Mitchell Caravan Park. 2, not grant an amendment to the current lease covering lots 42, 43, 44, 45, 48, 49 and 50 on M15114 and lot 41 on SP 267081.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Is there a seconder? There is. Councillor Seawright. Does the mover wish to speak?
Previously, this lease came back to council for an amendment last year. I'm moving that it just stays the same. It has 29 years to run on this, 19 years to run on this current lease, with the option to extend for 2 times 5 years. So I'll be supporting this motion today.
Thanks, Councillor Davis. Speaker against? Further speaker for? Councillor Vincent.
I'm going to support this motion as it is here today. It is only 1 year into a 20-year lease with 2 lots of 5 following it. I think it does cover off what the leasee is asking, with some movement for both sides at the end of the 20 years.
And Councillor Vincent. Any further speakers for? Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I'll speak for it. I was a bit on the fence with this because there's obviously two sides to it, but I think like Councillor Vincent said, there is wriggle room for both moving down the track, and it's hard to predict 10, 20 years time what's going to happen. But I think there is, if the leasee at the time is doing the right thing, there shouldn't be any dramas at all. So, yeah, happy to support this.
Thanks, Councillor Burkett. Any further speakers? Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, I'm happy to support this as it is as well, because I think that the lease as it stands does offer some flexibility and also some certainty for both the leasee and also for our future council.
Thanks, Councillor Hancock. Any further speakers? I'll speak. I'm supportive of this also. It was obviously last term that Councillor Hancock and Councillor Burkett and I were part of, where we agreed to go to tender earlier than what was expected. And we've done that. We're 1 year into this lease. It's for the entirety. It can be up for 30 years, but it's initial 20 years plus 5. I think that gives both the lessee and a future council options, and I think that's important factor for us to consider today, and that's why I'll be supporting the resolutions as it stands. Any further speakers? Does the mover wish to sum up?
No, thank you.
She doesn't. I'll put it. All in favour? That's carried 7-0.
Page 35. 10.1.
10.1, adoption of terms of reference strategic steering committee Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre project. Do I have a mover? Councillor Seawright.
I move that council approve the terms of reference for the for the strategic steering committee. Oh, that's in there twice.
Yeah.
Can we please just remove the second?
Just seeing if you're awake.
Yep, 100%. Happy to start that one again. I move that council approve the terms of reference for the strategic steering committee, the Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre project as presented.
Have a seconder. Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak?
No thanks.
Anyone like to speak? Gonna go?
Well, I'll speak.
You can speak.
I'm supporting this. We have obviously, council has appointed myself and Councillor Flynn as the representatives on the strategic steering committee. We've had our first meeting. The term of reference was tabled there for consideration. There are a couple of changes. They've been put forward to council today for this body to take carriage of the terms of reference, which I think was an important governance step for council to have oversight on. They're pretty thorough and are in line with the other committees that council has enacted this term, so I'm fully supportive of these.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
I'll speak
Councillor
as well.
Vincent?
I was just letting Councillor O'Neill have first go. Yeah, I believe the ratepayers would be expecting tighter control over a project this large. I think this is similar to a formalised probably portfolio meeting. Yeah, so I'm fully supportive of the terms of reference that the group's brought forward today.
Thanks, Cam. Anybody else like to speak? I'd like to speak. I just think this is going to be an amazing project for the Maranoa, and everybody on that committee, I believe, is committed to making sure we get there on budget and on time, and everybody is happy along the way. So yeah, just really excited for the Maranoa for this project, and we know we're in good hands with those that are on the committee, so full credit to them. Okay, if no one else like to speak, Councillor Hancock.
Sorry. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I just want to support this recommendation that's gone up today. I think, you know, this is, as we've all spoken a lot about, this being a generational project. It's a massive project, and I just think this is another step forward of council being open and transparent to the community by putting some really strong due diligence around the processes and the decision making when it comes to this project. And so I'm fully supportive of the terms of reference and the committee that has been that sit around that and the processes. And I just congratulate council for continually having open and transparent processes, not only in this project but for this term of council.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. 10.2, Australian Local Government Association, ALGA, 2025 National General Assembly, motion submission and elected members' attendance. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that Council 1 endorse the attendance of Mayor Taylor, Deputy Mayor O'Neill and Councillor Hancock at the 2025 Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly on the 24th to 27th of June 2025, and Mayor Taylor, Deputy Mayor O'Neill, Councillor Hancock at the 2025 Regional Cooperation Development Forum on the 24th of June 2025 in Canberra. Draw the funds from the attending individual council conference budgets.
Do I have it? You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
We haven't done the motions yet. Yeah. Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mayor. Recognising that the Mayor and I attended ALGA last year, which I think was really important, that we were back at the table at the National General Assembly. My thinking as to why I'm moving what I've moved for this year is that one way or another there will be a new government in place come this conference, whether that's a returned Labor government or there is a coalition government, or there could be a minority government. We don't know. The election will be in May. But attending this particular General Assembly, I think, will be really important. In addition to the attendance at the conference, we will organise a delegation to Parliament House to meet with the new government and the opposition, whichever way that looks, come the end of June. And that's also an important opportunity for us to meet with the national decision makers on some of the issues that are pertinent to us. The Mayor and I did that last year, and the Roma Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre was top of our agenda, and there wasn't a politician that we didn't meet that knew that that was a huge priority for our region. And pleasingly, we now know that that advocacy has turned into significant contributions coming from the Australian government, which I think is wonderful. These are important opportunities for councillors to attend, and equally, I think, by value adding, not only attending the General Assembly, but also attending the regional forum that's attached to it. We got a lot out of that last year, and I think if we are taking the steps to go to Canberra as part of the General Assembly, we should also be participating in all that can be around that particular event. And as I said, the delegation with up to Parliament House will be important. I do stress, though, I see in the report that it's considering us attending the dinner attached to this particular event. I know I can speak from the Mayor. We won't be attending. It didn't live up to expectations, and I think money can be spent elsewhere to support the work that we do as a council, and so we'll be ensuring that doesn't happen as part of the registration. But it is good to be back at the National General Assembly. The feedback we got from colleagues, not just from Queensland but nationally, was that Maranoa's back, and it's important to have representation at this particular forum.
Anybody else like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. 11.1, report on changes to the GST of burial rights, register of regulated fees and charges, cemeteries. Morning, Ruben.
Morning.
Anyone like to move or have a question?
I'm happy to move.
Councillor Vincent.
I move that council adopt the revised cemetery fees as presented in Schedule A.
Seconder, Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, this is just taking into consideration the changes to the GST requirements from the ATO.
Which we had a briefing on as well.
Yes, that's right.
yeah.
Death and taxes.
Councillor
Just a
O'Neill.
question. I mean, we should recognise that this is to fix the problem that has been identified, but we are yet to set the fees and charges as part of the upcoming budget as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, on that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Thanks, Ruben. Have you got another one? No. Yeah. 11.2, fleet replacement procurement of 3 worker accommodation caravans.
Mayor, the officer's just coming through there now.
If you have any particular questions, at any rate.
Just,
Morning, Ollie.
Good morning, councillors.
Morning, Ollie.
I've got
Yes.
just a question. So these are the more, morning.
Good morning.
These are the more industrial type vans
That is
like we
correct,
previously had, yeah?
Yeah, that's correct, Councillor Burkett. You probably remember from your time these old caravans.
Yeah.
They'll be built on the same type of platform, being industrial, so that they have better chassis and the like. Sorry, I ran into you. Yeah, but they're not your normal everyday holiday maker. Yeah.
Are those current caravans still in use, or they're just
Currently they are, councillor, and through the chair, can I just
wow?
pass over some photos? If you'd like to get some there.
And the expected, like the expected use of them, like how often are they used at the moment?
They're currently in use all the time.
Yep, no, that's cool. Thank you.
I'm embarrassed that I wasn't aware of the condition of these caravans.
Well,
That is the inside of one of them. It is a little bit more dirt than normal because it had a branch come through a skylight, and that's the only way I was aware at the time that these things were as bad as what they were, as well as all the chassis are starting to break and crack out. They are just not roadworthy.
So was it here, because a lot of these were built
1985.
Yeah.
and after that Baringa manufactured and fitted
They
them
did.
out themselves, yeah.
They did.
To make that comment, Ollie, just I know it's in the report, but yeah, 85, so 40 years old.
They're 40 years old.
We've certainly got
Absolutely.
our wear out of them.
We've definitely, and I'm embarrassed that we ask our staff to live in something like this 5 days a week.
So, Ollie, if you've get new ones, are they on the cleaning like schedule? Does anyone clean them?
The
tenants.
the staff do their cleaning. Yeah,
The ones that are in them?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, just following on from that, Mayor, it's probably a good thought that, even is there a yearly thorough cleaning and maintenance, do they come in and get that? Like, is there a yearly schedule for that?
Councillor, they would be coming in at the Christmas Christmas break period, and I believe we should be getting our council cleaners to give them a proper once over, because some staff like really neat and tidy stuff, and like anybody in the world, and some will say, oh yeah, that'll do.
And to be fair, they're probably just doing your basic clean, whereas there is that next level clean that,
A deep clean,
the
yeah.
pulling out the air conditioning and,
Oh,
and wiping down all the tops of the carpets,
absolutely.
all that stuff that you know, I probably wouldn't expect our staff to be doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All the time,
absolutely.
so.
And we've got council cleaners, so
Yeah.
when things come back into the yard.
It's different staff going in them though, isn't it? It's not the same person all the time.
Yes, it's
Oh, it's the same person.
same person.
Okay.
Patrol grade.
The patrol graders, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'll find that if they're house proud at home, they've got to live in it, so they've got to spend not 24 hours a day in it, but
Yeah, but you know, I'm assuming they're blokes, and
There's one lady.
and a lady.
hang
okay.
on a minute.
But and most.
That's a bit sexist. I'm a good
Sorry,
cleaner.
I'm sorry, but you know, and they can be neat and tidy. That's really great. But like you say, they're also doing a job, so they're coming
all
in.
day, yeah.
You know, they're cooking a feed, they're going to bed, and like I wouldn't expect them to clean.
Deep clean,
No,
no.
at all. Councillor Davis.
I just had a question. Where will these caravans be based?
They'll be based out of Baringat because they're the
There's three.
team that does go and do the far reaches of the council area where it's not cost effective to bring somebody backwards and forwards each night.
And obviously in 40 years, caravans have got better, and we've looked at like the build, basically, quality of this.
Very much so,
Yeah.
Councillor Davis. As you can see by my report, I went to 3 industrial caravan manufacturers that do this type of stuff, and they're reputable companies. And yeah, so we've done our due diligence by looking at what we were planning to purchase. Like any brand of caravan, they've all got their own little niches. The company that I have selected on the selection criteria is currently in production for another state department. I think they've got 15 or 20 on order as well. So they're very much into this type of worker accommodation.
Holly, do you have budget for this?
Yes, I do.
Right. We have any other questions? Councillor Hancock.
Just a quick question. I note in the report that the discussions have been held with the overseers, coordinators, HSEQ team and the team leader. Have we actually had, now that I hear that it's probably one person using the caravan, have they been consulted?
Yes,
And we've had their
Councillor,
feedback?
They have. One of the occupants, and Alan Noon, is one of those, and I've named him in the report.
Yep.
The others, they had discussions through their overseer.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm happy to move if there's no questions.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move the council 1, select Trademark Industrial Caravans Proprietary Limited as a preferred supplier for the supply and delivery of 3 workers' accommodation caravans for the contract sum of $265,293.60, including GST, excluding registration, CTP insurance under local by arrangement, trucks, buses, specialised trucks and bodies, NPN 1.2, and 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to negotiate, vary and execute should be variations or vary and execute the contract.
That's right.
Trademark Industrial Caravans Proprietary Limited.
Yeah, is that
Or
right? That
negotiate, vary and.
To negotiate variations and execute.
That'd be-
Is it normally variations?
If the idea is to,
Would
through,
there be a
Mayor,
vote?
just if there's
To
a need
to
to vary,
vary.
if there's a need to vary the
Yeah.
contract,
That's-
that's why it says vary.
This is what we've done.
That's the standard line that we
Yeah.
always put into these, yeah.
Seconded by Councillor Seawright. Yep. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yeah, I think if we want our staff to do a spot-on job on the highway, we got to look after them, I suppose. And some of these guys, like in the Baringa area, they're a couple hundred kilometres away from town, and if we can make their life all the more luxurious on the road, I think it'll be, get better efficiencies out of that. So, no, fully supportive of this, and being industrial type caravans, I think they'll last the distance. I don't know about the last time, but look forward to seeing these on the road.
Councillor Seawright.
In support of this motion today, along with Councillor Burkett. I've worked away quite a lot, and coming back out of a long day into such if like the current condition caravans would be, again morally a bit disheartening. So anything we can do to get our crews up to scratch, they're away from home. They've got to have something nice to stay in. I'd expect that for myself if I was going out on a long stretch. And again, thank the officer for today for the diligence he's gone through to get us to this point, and the hard work he's put in to communicate with all the team as well. So thank you to Ollie for that as well.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Davis.
I'm also in support of this motion and agree with Councillor Burkett and Councillor Seawright. The only thing I'd like to add is that as a business, I'm really happy to see some trade-ins and that. So we're not in 15 years, we're not starting from zero again and coughing up another $250,000. We are actually getting that resale value for that asset and reinvesting it in our workforce and our plant and fleet. So thank you.
Councillor Hancock.
I guess just adding on as well, and recognising that, the officer said that he was embarrassed that our staff are being, in this. As a councillor, I too am. And so, I just like to say sorry that it's taken this long to see this working conditions for our staff. We really do value our staff and the work they do for us. They're on the front line. They're putting in a hard day's work and they should be able to come home to some decent accommodation at night. So I thank the officer for seeing it, valuing our staff and bringing it forward. Thanks very much, Ollie. And please pass it on to our staff that we do value them and we hope they enjoy this new accommodation when they get it.
How long will it be till you get them?
Between July, August, depending on their current contract.
Okay, very good. Anyone else like to speak? Who moved this? Councillor Johnson.
Just to follow on, just want to thank Manager Ollie. Since Ollie's been on, there's been that reciprocation with information with the staff and getting that feedback, what's the best of, whether it's a grader, in this case a caravan. So thanks, Ollie, for bringing that on board in the beginning of last term, middle of last term. So I think it is important that we get the right information when we're purchasing, and I think it's no good just checking someone that's driving a push bike to select a grader. I think it's very important that we get the guys on the ground and have as much input as we can. So thanks very much for you and your staff for doing that. And and I think we'll have some smiley faces on some staff very soon. So.
Very good. All right, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you, councillors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
13.1, rollover of funds from financial year 2024-25 to financial year 25-26 Injune Museum Project. Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest on item 13.1. Description is rollover of funds from financial year 24-25 to financial year 25-26 Injune Museum Project. Declaring councillor is myself. The person with the interest and related party is my mother, Janice Humphreys. Janice is the Secretary of CHIPS, who is mentioned in the report. It is prescribed conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor O'Neill.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Through you, Neil, just with the resolution, I'm not understanding point 2. Include an allocation of 150,000 in the draft capital works budget for this year. We've already included $150,000.
Through the chair, that is a type mistake. I do apologise. I cloned this report and I have obviously not proofread it. It should be 25, 26.
Oh, okay. So include an allocation for consideration. Include an allocation in the draft capital works budget for consideration as part of the. Yep. Right. Because what they're asking for is the $150,000 now for a staged approach.
No, through the chair. So they have asked, so currently we have 150K sitting aside to be used for grant funding for their grant applications. Unfortunately, they haven't been very successful in obtaining the allocated for grants. So they have approached council to request that we carry over the 150K and use that towards a staged approach with the project. They're not asking us to give them 150 in one hit. The plan moving forward is as we go through the stages, it'll be a co-contribution, so half and half for the different stages that they do over the time frame. So we may not spend 150 next year. We'll continue to hopefully carry that over until that is spent in the staged approach.
Right.
Can I just
yeah.
Sorry. So in that case, for argument's sake, say they do a staged approach and they've spent 50,000 on whatever, and there's an opportunity for another grant, can they still have the opportunity to use that 100,000 to go for a
Yes.
grant?
Yes,
If we've spent some of it.
No.
If they spend
If you use
50.
50,
Oh, the remainder.
and then,
Yeah.
like, if something comes up and they think this is a good shot,
Yeah.
so we haven't spent any of the money yet, it's still sitting there. So with this staged approach, they will continue to look for grant funding, but we'll be looking at smaller grant opportunities. So whether it's the Gambling Benefit Fund or FRRR, those smaller grants, so they will be able to still use that funds as a leverage, I suppose, towards different grant applications.
Sorry, Jamie?
Yeah, Mayor, if I may. I did ask the team the question because obviously this has been carried over for a couple of years, whether the figure of 150,000 would still, get the work that was originally, I guess, proposed, or the concept proposed, delivered. But because it's a staged approach, basically they'll deliver what they can, but what they need is an assurance that there's a matching contribution up to that for the grants that they're applying for. So it's a little bit of, I suppose, a build it and they'll come kind of approach where you've got to have that at the table to bring those funds in, which they didn't last year, unfortunately.
If it's in the budget for 2024-25, wouldn't it normally just carry over anyway? Doesn't it just,
No.
it has to go back in every time?
Yeah.
we
But
gotta
does
approve
it, we have to approve that it goes back in
Well,
every
if-
time?
Yeah, because it's a new budget.
Yeah, and it could have fell over in that last 12 months.
Oh,
Opportunities.
I thought it would just normally roll over if it wasn't spent. Okay, that's good.
It comes to us as a rollover report, like we'll see
Yeah.
those rollover projects,
And then we
and then
might
we
say no.
still include it, but we could say no if we
Yeah.
wanted to.
Okay,
And this probably just brings it to the table earlier, councillors. Normally, we would actually go, okay, hasn't been spent, and officers would probably make a recommendation at the budgeting stage anyway, but
Yeah, that it
the
would
group's
just
actually,
stay.
the group has actually just got on the front foot and written a letter and just brought it forward there
Yeah.
for consideration.
councillor Davis.
Thank you. So, Officer Tinia, today, as the resolution stands, we're just agreeing to consider it in 25-26 budget deliberations. As a lump sum. Yep.
Councillor Hancock.
Just so I'm clear too with the processes. So at the moment, there's $150,000 sitting there that if they wanted to apply for a grant between now and June, they can use that as seed funding. But what they're suggesting is they probably won't use any of that, so they want their until, and they're going to start this. So they want to wait until after June, after the 1st of July, to be able to start using that money with their stage approach.
Yeah, so through the chair, at this stage, Exhibit can't commit to starting the project until probably the financial year. We're still waiting on them to give us the itemised quote with the staged approach and how much each of the stages are going to cost. But when it comes to actually getting it happening, it's unlikely they're going to be able to start until after the beginning of the financial year.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone got it?
Just a clarification. If we pass this motion today, we're actually rolling it over, we're not considering it.
Yeah, well, that's what I would have said.
Well, I wondered that myself, but that's right. So it doesn't really give them any certainty, does it, Councillor Flynn, like that it's going to happen until the budget?
Yeah, once we pass this motion today, the 150,000 will go from
Straight to the
2024 to 2025-26.
Yeah.
We're not going to consider it, it's going to be sitting in the budget.
So we're going to include an allocation,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
to consider it.
That's right.
The
way that's written there now is that we are
Include.
saying we're going to include it as part of the deliberations for council.
Yeah.
That resolution does not approve it.
That's what Councillor Flynn's saying.
That's what he's saying.
He's saying that it's going to be rolled over into it.
It will not. That resolution does not roll it, the money into it. It's saying that we will include
It's
it as part
included in
of
the
the
draft
budget.
capital
Which is
works
right,
budget
yeah.
for consideration. So there's still a chance that on the given day.
There's a
we can
chance
say
that they'll
no.
lose the 150,000.
Yeah, but going on how it is, yeah.
Going on that resolution,
Yeah.
it's only going into the budget
The
consideration,
same as every other project.
which it would have done anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my question is can we, in process, CEO Rob, can we just move today to allocate it, or do we have to, does everything have to be considered at
What we've
budget?
normally done in the past, like, when you say we want to include in Q2 review and all of that, you just we actually record it and actually add it to the budget, though, it's there, but normally we just actually put it in as for consideration as part of the budget, Brett.
Consideration, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And so it'll be part of the normal process where you'll do your assessment.
But as it currently stands, we're just going to say, come June, we're considering it. Right now, that 150 is in the budget. They can
be
go and
used now.
apply for funding right now,
Up till June. Yeah.
up till June.
That's correct.
My point is that at the end of June, we're going to have a number of projects that we haven't concluded. They're going to be rolled over. If we pass this motion today, this organisation are a chance of losing their funds.
Yes, they are.
They'd be better off coming to us and saying, can we roll it over at the end of the financial year? It just doesn't,
In essence,
it doesn't add up to me.
But in essence, that's what's going to happen, though, isn't it? Like,
It's
the
gonna come.
150 has already been approved in the 24-25 budget. It's sitting there. It'll sit there until the 30th of June. What they're asking is, will you, if we're not successful in using that money, will it continue? Well, the answer today is we're going to put this as part of the broader considerations for our budget, like we did the last 2 years, and we'll consider it then.
And we could consider to add another 50 to it. We don't know.
We can consider to give them nothing too.
Yeah, that's true.
That's well.
I'm happy to move.
Yes.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the correspondence from the Cultural Heritage Injune Preservation Society. 2, include an allocation of $150,000 in the draft capital works budget for consideration as part of the 2025-26 budget deliberations. 3, request a follow-up report outlining the new staged approach with costings associated with the stages.
Seconded, Councillor O'Neill. Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thanks. As discussions have rolled through this morning, it's clearly going to be put forward into the capital works budget for us to consider at the 25-26 budget deliberations. There is every chance that possibly if we're running short on funds, it may not happen. And we can't make that decision today. That's for the budget deliberations. But as it stands, they've still got 150K in this year's budget to spend. I do know the super round of the gambling community grants is coming up. As Tennille did say that they possibly might not be ready for it, but I'd really love to see an application from them guys for that super round of 100K. The funds are there at the moment for us to match it, so to speak, dollar for dollar. So hopefully something can come forward from them for that.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'm happy to speak, unless you're looking for a speaker again.
No, you're right.
No. I'm happy to speak in favour. We have obviously over the last 2 years, which straddles the previous term and this term, supported CHIPS with their endeavours to seek additional grant funding with some seed funding of 150,000. I personally will continue to support that. A lot of investment has occurred into the museum in Injune, and I think it's going to be an important part of the tourism landscape for the northern part of the Shire. And we need to see it open. We need to see it populated from an exhibit perspective, and council has a role in ensuring that's going to happen. Equally, so do other levels of government and other funding contributors. So if we can continue to support them right now, because there is an allocation in the 24-25 budget, and we roll this in as the broader discussions as we head to adopting next year's budget, we'll be able to give confidence right now that they've still got the money and that council is supportive of at least throwing this into the mix. But as I said, personally, I am supportive of this project and look forward to actually seeing it populated in this term of council.
Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, I'm supportive. I know there's a risk in anything in life at the moment, I suppose, but as one of 4 from the last term, we got it to it. The museum to fruition, and now we want to see. I know all of us would like to see it come to the next stage. So I think it'll be discussed very strongly, and I think there'll be a lot of support for that to happen. And I agree with Councillor Seawright also. There's a chance still for another grant, so we've got that opportunity till June, or the people have. And I look forward to seeing it talk very positively in the budget deliberations, and hopefully still be in a position to have that work done in the next financial year.
Councillor Hancock.
Yes, I'm going to support the resolution today because, as Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Burke have said, we have supported this project right from word go. Personally, I still support the project, and I will continue to support the project leading into the future. You know, we want to get this up and going. We want to be able to support that community as much as we can to do that, and there is opportunity for them to get extra grant funding. All this is for me today is my support for the project hasn't changed. We're just also supporting our council processes, and this is the way we do that. This is just about our process for council and how we do our budget. But the support for the project hasn't changed for me personally.
Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor
Just
Sero?
briefly, I'd like to thank the council staff for communicating, and also thank the museum committee to actually coming forward and just trying to ensure that funds is secured to get their project complete. It's going to be a great asset to the as Councillor O'Neill said, the northern regions of our Shire, and I'm looking forward to seeing that project complete when they finally achieve their funding.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? No. Okay, let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. Councillor Vincent is back in the room. 14.1, annual membership of the Toowoomba and Surat Basin Enterprise, TSBE. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
Happy to move. I just have one question.
Yes.
On page 116, just in our partnership agreement, it just says in the last box, broader economic development initiatives, TSB will work with MRC, Maranoa Innovation Network. Who is Maranoa Innovation Network?
Greg will be able to answer that one. He is online today.
Through the chair, that I believe is a misstep. Unfortunately, I'll have to clarify that with John McVeigh. Unless it's referring to, and I'm not aware of it, unless it's referring to the Bottle Tree wind farm, but I don't think so. I'll have to take that on notice, unfortunately, councillors.
Yep, it won't be.
No,
won't be that.
It did exist. The Maranoa Innovation Network existed, I don't know, 5 years ago. There was a local project officer from memory who's now not here, but that was that organisation. Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy to move. But
Councillor
I do want
Vincent.
to amend that. Yes, sorry.
Just got a question. I notice in the groups that they're going to work with, they've only mentioned RCAT. Are they
That's
going?
in my amendment.
Oh, is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Bringer Action Group and those
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, I thought they must have
Sorry?
signed up.
I've got that in my amendment to
Oh,
take
okay.
out the
Yep, gotcha.
Maranoa Innovation Network, and I was just going to put other
Interested stakeholders.
other regional stakeholders. Would that be okay?
Councillor Davis, do you have a question?
Yeah, I did, thank you. Still sticking with the broader economic development initiatives under the Our Partnership. Previously, TSB has been involved with RCAT. We've been around the table. What is that correct, Greg?
They have had discussions. I know every time they've mentioned to me, I haven't been at the discussions themselves because they've been relevant to TSB and RCAT. But as I understand it, they have, whenever they've come up this way, they've actually then had discussions with RCAT directly on joint initiatives.
Can I just clarify something? In our recommendation, we have contribution of 20,000 exclusive of GST, yet in the partnership agreement,
It says
the annual investment is 22,000 plus GST.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So either one of them is wrong.
Yeah. Do we know which one's wrong?
Through the chair, the agreement would be correct, councillors. My apologies.
So the agreement is 20?
22,000 plus GST.
Just want to change that too, councillor, when you do the recommendation. Anyone else got any questions? When you're ready, councillor Hancock, if you want to move.
Sure. I move that Council 1 renew the annual membership contribution. Renew the annual membership contribution of $22,000 plus GST to TISB as part of the 24-25 budget, with the funds being drawn from
Wouldn't it be the 25-26 budget? Or is this for this year?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
It's
we
for-
paid last year.
Which year is it, are we
Through-
doing this for?
Through the chair, it's for the 24-25 budget. There's been a lot of discussion going backwards and forwards with TISB.
Right now,
So I
we've
laid
had
on the
this
table.
discussion.
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah.
paid this one. Can we just lay this on the table, councillors, until
Yeah.
then, please?
Yeah.
I just wanted to catch up with Greg. I
Okay.
just chatted now before there, but if we can lay it on the table
I'll
till
move we
later,
lay this
please.
on the table
Yeah.
till later in the meeting.
All those in favour? 980.
Go do some research.
14.2, the Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive Roma event.
Got a question?
Just on the way. Yeah, but I'm happy to.
Morning, Georgia.
Excellent.
Councillor O'Neill has a question for you.
Through the mayor. Morning, Georgia. Just the point 2 part of the resolution, the profits from the ticket sales for the event be donated to Fair Share. Is that organisation receiving, donations right across the cattle drive?
Through the chair, I believe that they aren't receiving the bulk of the donations, but they are in part receiving them.
So could we, the reason I raise this is there appropriate organisations from a local context that we should be donating to?
I believe, Georgia, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they are doing the cooking for free. The Fair Share chef is doing all the cooking on that night as their contribution towards the fundraising.
That's good, but is that what's led us?
To this,
Down that.
yes.
That's not what's in the budget, though. In the budget, their cost of staff, accommodation, fuel, travel.
The food's donated, isn't it?
Yeah, through the chair, they will be providing their time, the head chef's time and the corporate partnerships manager's time, and the cost of the ingredients and of preparing that will be provided in kind, but they have asked that because they are based in Brisbane that we cover their travel and accommodation. They'll be driving out from Brisbane, and the wages of 1 or 2 accompanying chefs that work under the head chef to prepare as well.
So that organisation is donating to the charity drive, and that's all credit to them. I think that's wonderful. We're putting on an event, and there's going to be donations raised. Is an organisation that's based in Brisbane the recipient of what's raised here locally, or does it go to an organisation in the Maranoa? And I obviously haven't been in the meeting, so put you on the spot, Councillor Hancock or Councillor Vincent. What was the thinking around it like?
Well, the thinking was around that they were donating their chefs and to our event and food to our event, and I guess as a gesture that some of those, now we don't have to do all the funds, but some of the funds we could donate back to that charity. Bear in mind that this whole thing is about raising funds for a cattle drive and a charity that's outside our region. And so I think I am 100% always in favour of donating locally, but I do feel that we should be donating some of this as a gesture back to the organisation that is going to be supporting that event with our food on the night.
The whole cattle drive is raising money for beef.
Beef bank.
That's right.
Beef
That's what I'm
bank.
saying. It's two different.
It's a
It's a sister. It's a.
they work together.
Together.
Organisation.
That's what I'm saying, like the whole cattle drive is about beef, whereas these guys want to support them, and this is their way of doing that, yes, but it's also a fundraising opportunity for them as well.
The beef bank give the beef to Fair Share to provide to the people that require it.
It just seems like, I'm not against it all, but just to Councillor O'Neill's point, it sort of does look a bit, they're getting something out of it, like they're doing a donation. It's like, I'll donate my time as a volunteer but I'd like half a day's pay, if you know what I mean. Like, would they be better off billing and then giving a big discount? I don't know, but it just...
Debating, or is someone...
Hey?
This sounds like a little bit of debate.
No.
I guess we're chatting it out. To try
Just
and
saying
find
that's like if you're donating your time and then you're getting something out, you're technically getting paid. You know, I'm just saying, devil's advocate I'm being. That's what it could look like. You know, I've done the work but I'm getting stuff out of it as well. It's like a sponsor's getting their sign on the wall. They get all the kudos, but they're getting something out of that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm against it for, just that's what people could say.
Or is it best to go
Can we
to...
go a percentage to a local?
Is the donation to the Great Australian Cattle Drive,
And they decide.
where it goes, because they're the ones that have organised this to...
Might be a bit cleaner for us.
I just didn't know when I read them much, but I've Googled them. I see that there is a connection, but...
Yeah.
And so I was just interested along the, the whole drive, is that...
It's about the
event
drive.
in Longreach or the event in Charleville, wherever it is, in Morven, is it, is the profits going towards this fair share or?
It's variable, I think, across the drive, isn't it? Each council.
Yes, through the chair. I don't believe that they've, from speaking with Fair Share and Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive, they haven't worked out the exact percentages or amounts that will go to each different charity that is part of the event. So there isn't a clear split at this time.
And the Roma event's slightly unique, Councillor, as well, because it is obviously the end of the drive. It's the celebration of the event, I suppose. So there's probably a little bit more scope with this one in terms of what it might raise, as opposed to some of the others.
Would it be unusual not to go to donate it to Fair Share and it just is donated to the Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive and
they can decide.
that entity make the decision?
Might be cleaner.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense then. That's the initiative. The people that have come up with the idea of the particular event.
In that way, some of the funds might assist with the beef bank that come out of this region for the graziers that do donate through. Donate through the beef bank. Might assist some of those costs, getting the cattle or the beef to them.
Yeah, that's fair.
My question's just, sorry, Jamie, did you want to say something?
I was just going to add one point, Councillor, if that's all right. Just that obviously Chris from the cattle drive, I think, was involved in the discussions around this, and I'm pretty sure it was originally her idea to frame the donations that way. So, I mean, from council's perspective, if you're more comfortable donating to the organising party, they'd probably end up funneling it back in that direction anyway. But if that's a better outcome for council, then I think the
Well, they can make up their
intent
own
won't
way,
change
then,
it.
can't they?
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Because it's the entity, the entity that's come to us to put this on.
Yep.
Is the Australian Cattle Drive. Fair Share, first time I saw it, for me, was in here. We've been engaging with one particular, charity, BIM and Chris and whatnot. I probably do think it'd be cleaner to myself. But.
Councillor Vincent, did you have that?
I was just going to ask about the $800 being kept in reserve. Is that out of the tickets, or is that normally, because we usually just do waivers and it's kept in our in-kind bucket separately? Is there a reason behind keeping the $800 out of the ticket sales? Is that where it's coming from?
No, that will not come out of the ticket sales. That will be reserved as part of the in-kind budget and sponsorship budget, but because this is taking place in the next financial year, and I believe in the council briefing I was just requested to note the cost of that fee waiver, just so that we can keep all of their requests all in one report, so we can see it all together.
So we're carrying over the 800, the allocation's next year, but we're making the decision this year. And so that budget will be $800 more than what we thought it was going to be for next year.
Or 800 taken out of sponsorships and donations.
You're already 800 down for the next financial year.
Or
we add
we've
to it.
used it in this budget and we're carrying it over.
Yeah. Councillor Seawright.
Just obviously, you're also looking for some direction to whether or not we would like to stand up and sit down. So we have to obviously make a decision today based on that. Looking at the two the costs of the events for stand up or sit down, I just have noticed that the Maranoa Regional Council, the outdoor staff, is no cost. Have we put, like, again, that's an in-kind, would we be putting something aside somewhere for that? Have we got an expectation of what that would be?
I don't have an exact cost of what that will be, but I have discussed it with Georgie Adams and Dan Haslop, who are both happy to help organise that, and they didn't foresee it being too major of a cost compared to our support.
But yes, we would need to, councillor, that's exactly right. We'd actually have to have a work order number to book into one of our in-kinds.
That's right, because I just know, like, obviously there's a huge difference between the stand up and the sit down and the cost of setting up. So like that, a lot of them tables, even though we own them, they wouldn't just appear out at the sale yards all by themselves. So I do realise that there'll be, significant costs in transporting them to and from, a bit of cleaning up after the event. So I can anticipate it'd be something around that $5,000 mark of in-kind. Council, I just think we should be noting that in the front end, or setting a budget for it to stick to that as well.
The Cafe 54 cash bar, is that alcohol? Yeah, so they're going to just do that out there somewhere as well. Yes.
Just leaning on from Councillor Seawright and also point 3, I just actually wonder whether we really need that point 3 to be in there, because I would assume that any of our costs, including our staffing costs, should all be covered before we work out what the profit is to give away. So for me, it would be that if any profits from the ticket sales for the event to be donated to, because as you say, sometimes we don't know yet, but like
you might not get the numbers that you think you're going to get.
Yeah, that's right. And so I just wonder if it should be if any profits, and then that means that, we need to take our costs out so it's not costing our community as well.
Just add, I guess, context maybe. I guess I know these, our team needs sort of the direction today to keep moving forward. It's whether or not, our ticket prices, do we have a, set amount we would like to donate, and do we actually adjust our, purchase prices of our tickets to achieve that, based on that, even if it is like a $2,000 monetary value or something like that, we, forecast our in-kind to reflect that or not. And in regards to ticket prices, I know we do want people to attend the event, but as well. Sorry, that complicates things.
But I think for us, for me, the intention of the event is actually really not. The intention from a council perspective, so from my perspective, is not to actually raise a huge amount of profit. It's actually we're assisting them by putting on a finale event. And so I think that, trying to keep it affordable for our community so they actually attend the event, and the organisers to attend the event. We did ask whether they would be expecting a heap of free tickets, and the answer was no, that they will buy a certain amount of tickets to cover off on those people, that they, the dignitaries that they want there. So I just think that we should just hold a really good event, and our focus shouldn't be as much about raising a huge amount of profits.
I totally agree, Councillor Hancock. I just, we'd look quite silly with point 2 if we, did actually run at a loss, or, have that in there and not be able to donate anything to the the cause at the end. That's
So therefore, why don't we just actually just stick with number 1 and 4, and then if there is a profit from the event, the staff bring back a report and we can decide what we do with it then.
100% could agree to that.
Yeah.
Director James?
Yeah, if I may, probably, I guess to get us to the point where we can frame up all of those unknowns, we really need probably, I guess, a clear indication from council as to whether you want it to be the stand-up or the sit-down.
We get into that one.
We'll get to that one.
Profits, just
Yeah.
profits from the ticket sales, it's just
Yeah.
profit from the event. So it's not proceeds, but it's going to be the profit, as you said, but rather than from ticket sales, it's profits from the event, because you need to incorporate all the other things like the in-kind, the whole bit.
Because the biggest impact on cost will be the style of event that you settle on, and obviously we discussed the pros and cons of both. But
There's the ticket sales, is profit from the event.
Yep.
So what is council's feeling, I guess? I notice in the budget that we get more profits from the sit down than we do for the canapé. So, and that just comes down to the amount of tickets and the cost of tickets.
Yeah.
And I was initially, a canapé and cocktail stand-up event, but looking at that, I'm very happy with the beef banquet sit-down event. It'll probably actually, add a little bit of, official proceedings, atmosphere, official atmosphere to the ending and
Not so casual. Yeah.
yes, 100%. Thanks, Councillor Burkett.
Yes.
Happy to move. I move that Council 1 endorse a ticketed sit-down event at the Roma Sale Yards on Wednesday, the 6th of August 2025, to mark the end of the Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive. And 2, it doesn't work, that council create a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, to clearly outline responsibilities for the Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive and Maranoa Regional Council in the planning and execution of the event. Sorry, I was just getting the acronyms out of there. Cal, when we do the minutes, will you put the full words?
Seconder? Councillor-
Question,
Yes.
where are we at with item 3 that was in the original recommendation about Mitchell Showgrounds?
We're just gonna leave all the in-kind until they work out what the in-kind's going to be.
And so the Mitchell Showgrounds is part of the in-kind request, Councillor Flynn.
Do we want to note that in the report?
Well, so is the Roma Sale Yards, that will be caught up in the memorandum of understanding, all the in-kind requests, but just to keep, so councils feel assured that the Mitchell Showgrounds and the Roma Sale Yards is part of that in-kind request.
So is the in-kind going to come back to us?
The in-kind.
Like, how are we going to find out what we're doing for Mitchell, what we're doing for... When and how are we going to find that
So
out?
that council approve the in-kind request it's in here, Mitchell Showgrounds.
It's all, yeah.
Isn't that currently under the local area director to approve up to a certain amount? Like, why is it coming to council?
If I may, Councillor Davis, it came to council because it's part of a much bigger ask and event, because it's tied directly into the entire cattle drive event. Yep. And whilst the drive organisers are taking the lead on the Mitchell event, we wanted it to be discussed here, so that there is, I guess, protection and clarity for council if the Mitchell event's a fizzer, for example. Yes.
Because we have nothing to do with the Mitchell event,
it's a show society.
apart from giving them the showgrounds.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can we offer council and, taking on from what Councillor Flynn's saying, we can approve the in-kind request. Have you got a list in front of you, Officer Georgia, of what those requests are? And if not, that's okay. I'm happy to lay this on the table so that council could be emailed those requests, and then we could include it into the resolution later in the meeting.
Is that the requests for the Mitchell event specifically, or all requests?
All the requests for the in-kind for all the events.
But hasn't Georgia already told us that she can't until Georgie comes back?
No, there is a list.
Yes, so I do have a list of what the Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive are asking in kind in regards to the Mitchell Showgrounds, but also what will be required for council to provide in kind for the event at the Roma sale yards.
Yes, so we do have a list.
Yes.
Yes.
I'd say a lot of the stuff at the Mitchell Show Society work camp will probably help with that.
I'm going to lay this on the table to
Get the list.
later in the meeting. CEO Rob, could we please have that list circulated, councillors, so we can approve the in-kind request if council wants to.
All those in favour of laying on the table till later in the meeting? 8-0.
Councillors, just that other one I requested you laid on the table. I just want a bit more information there. Obviously, you had paid the bill. It was just that the agreement was for 2025, but yet we pay our bill 24-25. So I think that agreement needs to reflect the payment period. So I've just the previous one we had with the TSB there. So I just was the reason I asked that to be laid on the table.
We'll be circulating it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, because that agreement just says for 2025, but it doesn't line up with our payment period, which is 24-25. We paid the bill. We paid that back in November.
We'll check it.
I just wanted to make sure that agreement
Thank you.
lines up with the payment period.
Okay. I've mixed my paperwork up now. I've got no idea where I'm up to. I'm on the late agenda. L1. RCAT Tourism Subcommittee. Is that what I'm looking? When you're ready, councillor.
I've got a conflict on LC1, RCAT Tourism Subcommittee, declaring councillors myself, Councillor Cameron O'Neill, the person with the interest, close associate, other relationship is myself. The particulars of the interest are I have a friendship with Camille Johnson, who is a committee member of Roma Commerce and Tourism. I also have a friendship with Deb Jopic, who is the General Manager of Roma Commerce and Tourism. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action I'll take is, although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person would have a perception of bias, therefore I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting of whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Somebody got some words? Councillor Searoyd.
I move that it is in the public interest that Councillor O'Neill participates and votes on the agenda item L1 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
Seconded by Councillor Davis. All those in favour? 7-0. L1, RCAT Tourism Subcommittee. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that Council 1 note the report. 2, nominate Councillor Jane Vincent to be Maranoa Regional Council representative. 3, nominate MRC Regional Economic Development / Tourism Officer or delegate an opportunity to participate in an observatory, I can't speak, role when appropriate.
Seconder. Councillor Davis, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I think this is a great initiative of the RCAT to actually have a subcommittee for their tourism. Their organisation have some fantastic strengths, and I think anything we can do as a councillor to support their organisation, we should. And offering our portfolio chair of tourism, Councillor Jane Vincent, to be a representative on there, I think is a really great step forward to continue our partnership that we have between council and RCAT. And now this will be their tourism subcommittee. So I think that that's a great opportunity.
Anyone else like to speak?
I've just got a question.
Or just a housekeeping one too, just before you, if I may, councillor there too, just on that point too, Kel. Just obviously all resolutions should be able to be read in isolation, so maybe just can I suggest Councillor Hancock there that nominate Councillor Jane Vincent by Maranoa Regional Council to be the representative on the Roma Commerce and Tourism Subcommittee. Just should be able to read a resolution in isolation, so it doesn't actually say what it's a sub-member for.
And can I also, sorry, Kel, when you finish that, I will just amend something else.
Any resolution should be able to read in isolation. So.
And I would like to also put in there, nominate portfolio chair, or tourism portfolio chair, Councillor Jane Vincent.
Happy with that, Councillor Davis?
Does point 3 also need to include that further wording in isolation, CEO?
I think it does. If you have got it in the second point there, you can actually read that resolution and understand the actual actions that are required. It was just for new councillors, you should be able to pick up a resolution without even having read the report and know exactly what you're approving, what actions required. So I think that adding to the second point will clarifies it. So I do note also we just do say receive and note the report for our things, but thanks for adding that second bit in, Councillor.
No worries.
Councillor O'Neill.
Through the chair, the staff member is MRC Regional Economic Development / Tourism Officer. Who is that?
So that position is currently being recruited.
And that's the title of it, Regional Economic Development / Tourism Officer.
Yeah.
Through the
It's Greg and the person.
Sorry, through the chair, if I could just answer that question. My thinking there was that that we have a number of people within my team, including myself, and therefore it just gives us that flexibility. If one person is not available, that we do have a due representative that has that broader picture and can bring something to the conversation. That was my thinking.
Sorry, do we have is the position that's being recruited called Regional Economic Development / Tourism Officer? Does that exist in the structure?
So correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, I think it's both. You're saying that it's actually yourself or the actual tourism officer when that's recruited?
Correct. It could include myself. The role that's being recruited that is referred to through the chair is the marketing and tourism officer role.
I'm just conscious that clearly what was asked for, unless the report is wrong, we would also like to offer the council's tourism officer an opportunity to participate in an observatory role. They haven't asked for the regional economic development officers.
And that is true. They want a tourism officer. It is actually that is why Portfolio for Tourism is on this committee, not Portfolio for Economic Development. So they were very specific that they want a tourism officer to be able to attend these meetings, and probably, unless for extenuating circumstances, some the same person,
Well, and I was going to get to that point as well. It should. I don't necessarily agree with
consistency.
delegate. It just needs to be that person can't attend. They can't attend.
Can we just say tourism officer, and then it'll be up to the director to choose?
Manager, yeah. As I said, the Regional Economic Development Officer is obviously in charge of the tourism officer. But I think, as you said, if you just put in tourism officer, then if that position has been recruited, then Jamie can make the decision.
Unless we've gone back to RCAT and asked them, are you comfortable with this broader offer? And if we haven't, then we shouldn't.
No,
I mean,
they,
it's a,
they definitely would like a tourism
All right.
officer.
So
That's
it's
right.
And it's wrapped up in the word delegate after tourism officer.
Just on that, are they going to be, for argument's sake, say a tourism officer's off on the, like she's not covered for 2 meetings, would they get a bit, they might still want someone there?
we've got
in a-
Councillor Vincent
It's in
there.
an observatory role anyway.
Yeah, mate, I'm happy to amend.
Yep.
If we can just say nominate Maranoa Regional Council's tourism officer. I don't know,
To
about an
participate.
opportunity, just like
Yeah, to
to participate in an observatory role on the sub.
Participate in the observatory role
Yeah.
when appropriate.
Mayor, may I just add a point, please, through the mayor? I understand the intent of nominating a specific tourism officer, but I also think there should be an element of discretion operationally as to which member of the team, and obviously you need a key point of contact to maintain a good relationship with RCAT, but I do think that in some instances it may be worth, council as an organisation having the ability to determine which officer is appropriate to attend. And if it is a matter of, of regional tourism delivery, then it may help to have the lens of someone like a Greg or myself in attendance. And I think if we only lock in that it's the officer all the time, that could be a little bit limiting and detrimental to the functionality of the relationship.
I do tend to agree, especially if we've also got the big rig coordinator that may come in handy at an opportunity that the big rig comes up, that her advice might be sought.
This is only putting them forward for the subcommittee. I would think that if there is an opportunity that the subcommittee may invite people with that specific knowledge. So us making this decision today is only assigning it for consistency to a position that has knowledge of what has gone on. Is
So I've taken it.
that?
Look, this is a really important step, I think, in RCAT to have a subcommittee around tourism. And if they're inviting our portfolio chair for tourism, then it is appropriate. It's the tourism officer. We haven't named who that is. It's whoever is filling that role at the time. And I would like to think RCAT would engage more broadly on other issues relevant to RCAT.
And I think, councillors, you nominated the tourism officer, and if you haven't filled that position or they are away, it also implies that their immediate supervisor, which is Greg or the Jamie, can fill in that place. It doesn't authorise someone below that, but
Well, that's how I took it. I always thought that, like, if your officer can't attend, it is a given
your
that
supervisors.
your superiors could attend at any stage on your behalf, like that.
So I think that'll give you that flexibility.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Would you like to read that out again, please, Councillor Hancock?
So does that make you feel comfortable seeing
I was
that
comfortable with it
you don't have
before.
to have all delegate?
No, I was comfortable with it before, council. I said if the tourism officer isn't recruited by then or they are away at a conference, obviously then their immediate supervisor, which is Greg, or in this case, Director Jamie, can attend, so you'll be fine. I do take Councillor Vincent's point though, if it's something to do with Roma and you want to bring the actual Roma Tourism Visitor Information Centre officer there, but I think we could, through the
But they
council,
could just
request them to
invite them
come,
as a
so
separate thing
yeah.
anyway.
Yep, so I think you've got
it's
it
not our
covered.
committee, it's someone else's committee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we can
right.
request.
And we're endorsing their request?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Would you like me to read all that again?
Yes, please.
I move that Council 1 receive and note the report. 2, nominate Tourism Portfolio Chair Councillor Jane Vincent to be Maranoa Regional Council representative on the RCAT Tourism Subcommittee. 3, nominate Maranoa Regional Council's tourism officer to participate in an observatory role when appropriate.
And you happy with that, Councillor
I am.
Davis?
Yep.
Would you like to speak, Councillor?
Can't remember, have I not spoken?
I don't know.
I have spoken,
You
haven't
have
I?
spoken.
That's
Oh,
what I'm
great.
thinking. I feel like I've spoken.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Vincent, please.
I'd just like to thank the RCAT committee for inviting me to sit on this subcommittee. They have done a lot of work around this subcommittee since in this new time, just to put tourism back on at the table where we are sitting as well. So I think it's really exciting to have an invitation to attend and participate in this subcommittee.
Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, councillor? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. I have a notice of motion.
Are you classing it as L2, Phil? Is that what you said?
It was late. L2?
L2.
Yeah.
Or do you want to come back at the after confidential? Because we've got an L3 too.
It's supposed to be a 3.
L2?
And then L3?
And L3?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then come back to close up.
Yeah. So we go to L2?
Yeah.
Yeah. So L2 is the Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre upgrade. Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to move. I'll move that Council 1 notes that staff are preparing a package of potential support initiatives for Council to consider during the 18-month closure of the Denise Spencer Aquatic Centre while redevelopment works are undertaken. 2, requests that officers include the updated and previous costings for both an outright purchase of a 25-metre temporary pool for installation on council-owned land, with estimated costs provided for purchase, installation, operation and decommissioning and hiring and the hiring of a temporary pool. 3, consider the package of support initiatives and report findings in an upcoming council meeting with the information to then be shared across the community.
Do I have a second?
Question. So that the installation operate, that'll encompass the fence and security fence and all that sort of stuff as part of that?
That's my intention.
Yeah. Just
the whole costings.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right, Director? Yeah.
Yeah, understood. Yep, thank you.
Have a seconder.
I'll second that motion.
Councillor Flynn, would you like to speak, councillor?
Thanks very much, Mayor. We've made a significant decision for our community last week when we awarded the tender to Hines Construction for the redevelopment of the Denise Spencer Pool. We've all had conversations with interested parties, parents, passionate swimmers that have acknowledged their concerns to us that the timing of the pool has been a disruption, and we all know that. And we knew that across the last 10 years that we've been talking about redeveloping this asset. We obviously went to consultation twice in the last 2 terms to understand the community sentiment around the asset, which is the pool. One of the clear questions was asked, where would you like it? There were a couple of suggested alternative locations to the current one, one of them being beside the PCYC, one out at Bassett Park, and it was overwhelming that people provided their feedback to council that they wanted the Denise Spencer pool to remain where it is. And it would have been an easier outcome to have a greenfield site. But we then asked the follow-up question, if that meant the pool was to close, do you still stand by your initial response that the Denise Spencer pool stay where it is? And it too was significant in the feedback. And so the community have made it very clear that they want the pool to remain where it is. It was only ever going to be a 50-metre pool when we first started talking about this. We've bettered this particular asset for our community by including the 25-metre pool for all the reasons that we know. We needed a heated pool all year round. We needed a pool that supports children to learn to swim. We need a pool that supports our community that are going through rehabilitation, our seniors that enjoy using the pool for aqua aerobics and exercise. But it's meant that for us to be able to do that, we're closing it for 18 months. It's been asked a number of times and suggested that council should construct a temporary pool. Now, we understand some of the anecdotal figures, which I don't know off the top of my head, but the director does, which I'll throw to him if that's all right, Mayor, in a second. But it is no doubt an expensive consideration, but one that I believe should be included as part of the overall package of things that we're going to look at to help mitigate the closure over the next 18 months. And that information should be released to the community so they have a full understanding of what the costs are that were, something that we need to consider as a council. And so I brought this forward today to acknowledge what's happening in the background in terms of the package of potential support initiatives that the staff are working on, and that we include the most current figures in that report that relates to what would be the cost of purchasing a temporary pool outright or simply hiring it. Ones that I'm sure we'll all raise our eyebrows at.
Did you want the director to give you figures?
If the director is happy to share some anecdotal figures.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor O'Neill, and through the chair, probably just a couple of points. I just want to acknowledge the support initiatives and thank you for acknowledging that that's in process. So that we are being very methodical with that in terms of the suite of support initiatives that we are drafting to present to council. And that's not just a tick in the box exercise. That's looking at the demographics, the ages, the users of the pool, just to present council a fairly broad-ranging options of initiatives to help support this closure period. So, in short, to add the temporary pool arrangement on that is not an issue at all, and that will provide just an extra one. As the Deputy Mayor mentioned, we have done a significant amount of work in this space, and I'll be more than happy to present that to council. I'm confident we can get this report very quickly to council, given the body of work that we've done on this topic over the last 12 months. But if I could just make a couple of quick observations, which will be detailed in the report, and I'm mainly talking to dot point number 2. So in terms of a temporary pool, like ironically, we've obviously got some very accurate costings because we are building a 25-metre pool as part of the Denise Spencer project. So it's very encompassing the resolution to include operations, maintenance and decommissioning, which I think is important. So, but at a very high level, you'd be looking in excess of $3.5 million easily for a temporary pool, and that's probably not to mention the time that would still take to construct and that. So there's stuff like, as raised before, fencing, but you've also got the need to excavate, make sure it's still all abilities accessible, but the decommissioning of potentially filling that in. So we'll include that, but as I said, we've got some very accurate costings, and that based on the current pool. So there would be that, but absolutely can provide that information. Not saying that we can't provide that. That's what this resolution's all about. And probably the last one, just in terms of the temporary one, the temporary pool, we absolutely have looked at that, and we'll share that obviously formally to council through the actioning of this resolution. Temporary pools are quite difficult because the supplier, in order to be able to hire a pool, it's fair to say there's not just a stockpile of pools sitting in someone's warehouse ready to hire temporary pools, not of the size of a 25-metre pool. It's a significant pool that needs a lot of water treatment to keep that going. So what the feedback we've had from the industry is there needs to be some confidence from the supplier that there is a purchaser at the end of it. So we have looked at this, but to try and coordinate the logistics of it aligning with when a supplier, when a new customer wants a 25 metre pool, to have it already used here in Roma, it's a very unlikely scenario in that. But we'll outline the logistics of the temporary. So I actually think it's quite good to also include the outright purchase, because that would be a way for council to de-risk a 25 metre temporary solution, would be actually to look at what an outright purchase would be, because I can assure you the logistics of a temporary pool are going to be quite difficult and would be very difficult to guarantee to the community that we can provide you one, because we're actually relying on other parties, such as a new buyer of the 25. So I'll outline all that in the report, but I just more wanted to provide that because we know that information already. It would be remiss not to at least pass what we have so far on, but we'll outline that in the full report. So thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Can I just add to Councillor Burkett's comment? No, Councillor Burkett's comment about the fence. I don't think anywhere in any of our discussions have we had any costings with regard to the provision of toilets and changing rooms at a greenfield site.
So through the chair, that's absolutely, Councillor Flynn, thank you, and that's obviously why the word operation in the second dot point, that includes making sure that there's amenities, temporary amenities, but also even operators to operate the pool for that period. So as I said, the 3.5 is very much looking at, that is the cost of potentially just the shell itself with the water treatment system sitting beside it, but none of those additional establishment. But anyway, I'm not saying that from a debate or that. That's just the fact of the matter. But it's very detailed in terms of purchase, installation, operation, and decommissioning. So that will give you a full costing of what that would cost.
Thank you, Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, I'm fully supportive, and I just, like Councillor O'Neill said, a lot of the things like we couldn't stage the process with this new pool because it would have just added longer build time and also the extra cost. The alternative site wasn't supported, which would have made it a lot easier on, especially these two guys up here. I think outlying areas have always had the travel, so you know I'll speak for half of us here. Growing up, you had to come to a bigger centre to do any sport or anything like that. And I think a lot of these guys that do want to go to the next level are willing to travel anyway. So maybe the littler towns have got pools. Maybe we might be able to get a bit of a boost in our community by having people come to us, which would be good. And I'm sure we'll host them as best we can. So definitely and fully endorse what Councillor O'Neill said before and his summation. So yeah, fully supportive.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Vincent?
Yeah, I would like to support this motion. I am a little bit disappointed that we have to do this. We've got our officers are building a $30-something million aquatic centre. To bring this report to us is just more time. We've all been into how much this will cost us, but we need to do it to help support our community, just so they know what it will cost us. Totally agree with John. Drove my children 40 minutes to go to swimming club for 7 years. So the commitment, and I'm sure for these kids that are really good swimmers, the commitment is there for them to travel, just like a lot of our community already have to see their kids succeed.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, I'm going to support this as well, just for the sake of open and transparency. And, you know, that is what this council's about. It's actually not to cause more work for our staff because they've already done the work. We have been so diligent with this project, but we need to continue to be open and transparent to our community. And so we need to be able to bring those figures and let the community know, and also assure them that we haven't taken this decision lightly. This is an exciting, I think it's a $32 million project, and we are working on packages that we can still support our community, because we do understand what this means to the users of that facility. And I think that we just want to bring the community on their journey with us, continue to be open and transparent, and make responsible decisions around the council chambers.
Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, councillor?
Yeah, thanks very much, Mayor. To Councillor Hancock's point, this is about being open and transparent. It is about sharing all the information with our community. You'll see it in the report. I've listed the financial contributions that we've received from all of our funding partners, including the $12.5 million that council is allocating to this project. It's significant investment. It's significant ratepayers' money, and we are sharing that with our community so they know where the financial contributions are coming from, and recognising, importantly, that the dominant contributor is in fact the rate base, and being able to include the costings in and around the idea of a temporary pool or the outright purchase, I think is important, that we share that with our community, the broader community, so they understand what that would cost. And I know, as just been shared, that we've had many conversations about this, particularly last term, dating back into the term before that. But as I said, when we awarded the tender, this project's been on the books of council from the moment that I stepped in here in 2012. I should acknowledge the work that the previous term of council did to get it to the point where applications were submitted to the federal government. One was unsuccessful. Ultimately, we agreed in this term to resubmit, and it was successful. But this has not been a decision that the council has taken lightly. It has had significant due diligence put around it across a number of terms of council. A lot of eyes have been on this from a decision maker's perspective. Pleasingly, there is a continuity around the staff in making this a reality. But I think this is another important element for us to share to the community, that there is a power of work that's happened in the background, and it is being included in that broader due diligence as how do we mitigate some of the short-term impacts of the temporary closure, acknowledging that we are doing everything that we possibly can to have this opened as early as possible at the back end of 2026. But when you are building an asset that's going to serve our broader community for the next 60 years, it does take some time to construct it. So again, I urge the community to come with us on this. This is a big ticket item, one that will have great benefits for a long time for our community. And I look forward to this report coming back in a fortnight's time for us to continue the conversation with the Maranoa.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. We might break for morning tea and be back at 11. Ready? We're on to L3. Wallumbilla Multipurpose Centre Lettable Space. Do I have Councillor Sirotte?
I'm happy to move, but I just having a question. Just in regards, obviously, if it gets up today, just the intent of where we're going to advertise the EOI. Would like to be through social media, council website, newspaper.
Yeah, so through the chair. I've discussed this with Director Jamie just on that, because it's obviously the facilities and leases team that would take carriage of that. But typically, it'll be on our social media, passed on to local area director, LDO, to use their channels as well to communicate that and that. So, but yeah, that would be the plan to circulate that more locally, but in the paper there. Probably just one thing I would just make the point of, it's sort of on the back end of that question, is I just want to assure council, like, this is EOI process. You actually can't make an appointment of an EOI process. You would have to go to a tender following this, no different to the other examples that I've referenced in the report, but just to be aware that that's sort of the there.
Can I just ask a follow-up question to the EOI? Playing it out, if we had, if it was decided that it was to be a cafe, would the tender process be an open process then, or just the people that have expressed an interest under your EOI?
pretty sure you can actually just go to the EOI rather than the full open process. I have to check.
So you can do either.
Yes.
You don't have to go by the
Would that be a staff decision, or it would come back to this table for decision?
Yeah, it'd absolutely come back to the table as a summary of, here's the summary of the EOI responses, with obviously recommendation as to the next steps there. But yeah, I just hesitated there because I just remember we've done both options under EOI in the past and that. But to answer your question, absolutely, we would make sure that forms part of the follow-up report. So it put simply, whilst it's obviously quite formal there as an EOI, the intent here is a bit of a market research exercise to give council some comfort before investing further money into the room.
We're doing something similar at the Sale Yards Council there with that manure, and we just went through expressed some interest just to see we didn't have any idea what value it had, and with that EOI is closed, and we can do it two ways. We can use that response group to make it a targeted tender, or we can go out to a broader tender, but we'll bring that one back to a brief. But that was the same sort of process there. We EOI just to see who's out there and what interest there is, and we'll bring that one back.
Anybody else got questions? Brendan, you're right to move.
I'd like to move that Council 1 undertake expression of interest EOI process to gauge interest from potential commercial or community tenants for the 24 square metre space currently allocated as a commercial kitchen. I would like to put commercial kitchen and cafe within the Wallumbilla multipurpose building. 2, invite respondents to the EOI to provide details of their proposed use for the space, any requirements for fit out and anticipated financial contributions, capacity and appreciation to manage and operate the facility in compliance with relevant regulations, the potential benefits to the local community and or business sector. 3, acknowledges that it is in the public interest to test market interest in the space before making further financial commitments. 4, the further fit out of the space until the EOI process is completed to ensure that any future design and construction aligns with the needs of potential users and minimises the risk of unnecessary rework. 5, receive a further briefing and report on the outcomes of the EOI process, including recommendations for the future use and management of the space.
Seconder, Councillor Davis, would you like to speak, Councillor?
Yes, thanks, Mayor. I guess this building has been highly anticipated, nearing completion by the community and obviously council. It's gone across a couple terms of council, so it's really actually pleasing. We had a tour of the facility yesterday, and we're very excited to see this facility completed. Shortly we'll hopefully come up with a naming process for this new complex. But this here today, we're just looking to complete a space we've allocated for this. Hopefully we do get some great EOIs. Recommend all those in the community to who does have that capacity to potentially take this up. It'll be a wonderful addition to the complex, and not just for the community in regards to somewhere for them to go for cafe food wise, but also it's heavily of interest. It is a tourist complex with lots of other components there that will actually benefit us tourist season, and obviously hopefully the user, the EOI applicant, if it comes out that we do move forward with it.
Very good. Anyone else like to speak?
Can I just ask a question? And I wasn't at the inspection yesterday. What happens if we don't get any EOIs? Why I'm asking the question is because recently we have been seconded to a meeting at the Waroo Sports Complex where we've got a building with nothing in it. 6 minutes down the track, are we going to have a building with nothing in it?
Well, there'll be the library in it, and there'll be the information centre in it. It's just that the space that we had allocated for a commercial kitchen, we don't want to fit it out if we don't have any interest in it, and they might change their mind and turn it into a dress shop or a
totally
a toy
agree.
shop
I just
or whatever.
don't want to see what's happened in Surat happen, Wallumbilla.
And to that point, Councillor Flynn, we might have some EOI people, coming forward that they want a dress, they have a dress shop. They might be the only EOI or a shoe shop, for the ladies. But and it is really that building, like the actual commercial kitchen space behind that isn't currently finished, and we need to come up with a solution for it. But that'll come back at a later report that we can't actually, we have to have some sort of finish for the walls. And if there is no EOI, we'll have to, possibly just finish it and, turn it into a storeroom or something like that currently. But I guess that report coming forward, that will, we'll be able, council will be able to make that decision if that process does not reveal any interested applicants.
Councillor O'Neill.
I'll speak in favour of it. Just to Councillor Flynn's question, I wonder, CEO Rob, it might be of benefit just to circulate the floor plan again to councillors, because I'd forgotten exactly what it looked like until I was there yesterday, and that might help your thinking, Councillor Flynn, in terms of the space, just to understand the three sections. I'm supportive of this. I think we need to try and flush out in the community what some options might be for this particular part of the building. It was built with the intention of it being a commercial kitchen or cafe, and it still may be. But it'd be nice to go out to the community and understand what other interests are out there, that it fits, the purpose of in 2025. I mean, we started talking about this particular project. Ree Price was the councillor then, back in 12-16, with the redevelopment of Calico Cottage, and it's evolved over the last 12 years. So it's not surprising that there'll be differing views about what it should be and what it can be. But if we go out to expressive interest, at least we're going to understand, from a commercial perspective, who's out there who may want to lease this particular space and what they might want to use it for. So I think this is an appropriate step. I just want to thank Director Cam. We only spoke about this yesterday as a council, and he moved pretty quickly to get a report to council today, because if we waited a fortnight, we're a fortnight down the road with a facility that is due to be opened in June, and the quicker we can open this, the better for our community, given that we'll be a couple of months into the tourism season. So thank you for the team for working so quickly to get something for council to consider, and I look forward to seeing what options are out there for us to consider at the end of the AI process.
Councillor Hancock.
Just a question through the chair. Just with the comments that Councillor O'Neill just made, the time is of the essence. We haven't actually put a time in here. Do we need to put that undertake, like immediately, or are the officers confident that they know council's intent?
Through the chair, I did in the report in this section under timeframe sort of outlined a draft. It sort of aligns with what we talked about yesterday, using April as the period to have the EOI, with the view of getting it back to council and that. So we have done a similar process previously in a lettable space up in Injune. So whilst it won't be copy and paste, there is definitely some precedent on a method there. So to answer your question, so I was going around in circles there. To answer your question, understand the priority for this, and that to be fair, we have probably missed the window for the builder anyway, but it wouldn't be a significant cost. It's a local builder, and so it's not like we have to mobilise someone from Brisbane or Toowoomba to do it. So to be fair, we probably have missed the window, given that there's only actually concrete works, a bit of floor coverings, and some landscaping and car parks. So I don't think, it's still going to take a few weeks and that, but yeah.
And the builder's delivered what he's been asked to deliver. This is we always knew this step was going to come for this space to work out what we want to actually do with that space. No, that's okay, as long as it doesn't need to be in the recommendation, but officers are clear of the intent. So.
Probably just to answer that, unless council wanted more of a priority than what's outlined there, by adopting the resolution, we would assume that that's the time frame that council are comfortable with. So,
sure.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, councillor?
I would just briefly, thanks, Mayor. Just to acknowledge again, this is a great project. I'd love to see the community take this offer and someone come forward to, or a couple of people with some beautiful options for this lovely community. And also, again, acknowledge Councillor Flynn's comments that, we would like to, in regards that we would like to finish this space at some point, so we don't have a repeat of, a building sitting there 6 months that are empty. But I'm sure, this council has some awesome suggestions to complete that space off if the ELY doesn't come forward.
Thank you. We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Do we want to go back to the laying on the table or go into close?
We don't have all
Kel?
that information.
The resolution up there, can you pop it up for me, Kel? I can talk to it.
Yeah, have we got both?
Oh,
Both?
sorry, just the one over the Tisby
Yeah.
one there. You might want to come back and do both at the same
We'll
time.
do both after closed. Okay, so Councillor Siro, you were conflict for closed?
I do have a conflict. I've looked to declare conflict of interest for item C3, description request for waiver of interest on 13014303. The declaring council is myself, Councillor Seawright. The person of interest is myself. The particulars interest I am employed by the company who is mentioned in the report is a declarable conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you. Can someone move into close?
No other conflict?
Oh, you have a conflict?
No, was there
No,
any
that's the
others?
only
No.
conflict.
Oh,
Yep. Moving in close. Thank you, Councillor
I'll
O'Neill.
move in accordance with the provisions of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. The council resolved to close the meeting to the public to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider it's necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed, an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. C1, application for permit to occupy lot 1 on PER 208205. C2, request for views, renewal of term lease 0/238771 over lot 12 on BDR 17. C3, request for waiver of interest 13014303. C4, request for extended payment arrangement 14002919. C5, request for extended payment arrangement 14004428. LC1, tender for construction works, Carnarvon Highway footpath upgrade project for Department of Transport and Main Roads.
I have a seconder. Councillor Burkett. All those in favour? 8-0. We're in closed. We'll start with C1. You right, Tara? C1, application of permit to occupy lot 1 on PER 208205. Do I have a mover? Councillor Vincent.
I'd like to move that Council 1 advise that the surrender of a permit to occupy must be submitted to the Department of Natural Resources and Mines, Manufacturing and Regional and Rural Development on behalf of the deceased estate representative. 2, offer an objection to the application for a permit to occupy described as Lot 1 on PER 208205. 3, this is a state-controlled road and therefore a matter for the Department of Transport and Main Roads to address. The Department of Resources should engage with DTMR for a formal assessment of the proposed changes, impact on road functionality and alignment with state transport policies. 4, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign documentation related to this decision.
Have a seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, I'm all good, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C2, request for views, renewal of term lease 0/238771 over lot 12 on BDR 17. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that council advise the Department of Natural Resources and Mines, Manufacturing and Regional and Rural Development that 1, the land is still required for its gazetted purpose, and 2, council has no objection to the renewal of term lease 0/238,771 over lot 12 on BDR 17.
Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thanks.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. C3, request for waiver of interest 13014,303. Councillor Seawright will leave the room. Do I have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
That Council 1 decline the request to waiver interest as it is the ratepayer's responsibility to ensure the rates and charges are paid to avoid interest being accrued. 2, advise the ratepayer that pursuant to section 133 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, interest is payable on overdue rates or charges.
Seconder, Councillor Davis. Would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anybody like to speak? Let's go the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. C4, request for extended payment arrangements 14002919. Councillor Davis.
I'd like to move that Council 1 approve the payment arrangement for assessment number 14002919 until 30 June 2025. 2, advise the ratepayer that A, interest will continue to accrue until the balance is paid in full. B, should payments not be received by their due date as per Schedule A, Council's debt recovery process will recommence. C, Council not approve any adjustments to this payment arrangement. And D, should this payment arrangement not be adhered to, no further arrangements will be accepted.
Seconder. Councillor Seawright, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. C5, request for extended payment arrangement 14004428. Do I have a mover? Councillor Seawright.
I move that Council 1 approve the payment arrangement for assessment number 14004428 until 20 February 2026. 2, advise the ratepayer that interest will still accrue until the balance is paid in full. 3, advise the ratepayer that all outstanding rates and charges, including interest accrued, must be paid in full on or before 20 February 2026. 4, advise the ratepayer that should payments not be received on their due date as per the attached Schedule A, Council's debt recovery process will recommence. 5, advise the ratepayer that Council will not approve any adjustments to this payment arrangement.
Have a seconder. Councillor Davis, would you like to speak, councillor?
No, thanks.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go the vote. All those in favour? 7-0. 8-0, sorry. LC1, tender for construction works, Carnarvon Highway footpath upgrade project for the Department of Transport and Main Roads. Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move the council receive and note the report.
Have a seconder. Councillor Burkett. Anyone would like to speak, councillor?
No, thank you.
Anyone like to speak? Let's go the vote. 8 against? 4?
Yeah, I'm for.
All those in favour?
Sorry, councillor Flynn. 4 or against?
4.
4. 8-0. Sorry. I'm going to go back to the ones we've got laid on the table. (14.1) Annual membership of the Toowoomba and Surat Basin Enterprise, TSBE.
Councillors, I just wanted to follow up with Tisby. I spoke to Lance at Tisby there during the break. I just wanted to confirm that agreement was for the current period, because it obviously runs hand in hand with our payment. They invoiced us in September last year. You might recall that invoice was overlooked and was paid in December. So this agreement is to run concurrently with that payment, so September to September. So I did speak to Lance before. So he said they came out in December, spoke to council about what we want to try and get out of the relationship. This agreement just reflects that discussion we had back in December. So you'll note the resolution. The previous one actually had about acknowledging the payment. Well, we paid the bill. We don't need to put that in the resolution. It's just about authorising me now to sign that agreement. We will get a new invoice in September, and we'll get a new agreement in September for that period.
So the councils understand, so, yeah, the payment's been done.
Yeah.
It's just that we haven't signed the partnership agreement, so all this is to authorise CEO to sign the partnership agreement. I've still got the amendments and I'll look forward to the partnership agreement. But yeah, it's not about the money.
Is this standard practice that it comes to the table? Thank you. That was my question.
Yeah.
Thanks, councillor.
Someone like to move? Councillor Hancock.
I move that council authorise the CEO or delegate to execute the annual partnership agreement with Toowoomba and Strat Basin Enterprise, TSB, for the period from September 2024 to September 2025 with the following amendments. Under the broader economic development initiatives. TSB will work with MRC, RCAT, and other regional stakeholders to further progress industry collaboration within the region. Councillors happy with that?
Got that? Have a seconder? Councillor Vincent. Would you like to speak, councillor?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, this is actually just to tidy up our whole membership from last year that it was actually missed. But the partnership agreement between council and TSB is important, and it's building relationships for our community. And I am excited that we're entering into this partnership with TSB, and that we'll have opportunity to invite them again to the table so we can discuss as a council individual initiatives that we would like TSB to work on behalf of us and with us in the future.
Anyone else like to speak? No? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. $14.2, Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive Roma event. Has anyone got any questions? Councillor Davis.
Thank you. Thank you to the officer for sending that through. I don't feel like it is a true picture of what it costs council to hold this event, even though we are possibly waiving higher fees and no charge for community group. It is still a cost associated for council to hold this event. So I would like some revised costings around the combined cost of holding this event. I note that our comms team is going to do the photography. Is that going to add to the staff wages already provided? So yeah, happy with what's there, but just would like a true indication of how much this is costing council.
Councillor, does that mean that just maybe that, I think we were before, it was laid on the table, council were progressing with point 1 and 4 and they're not going ahead with 2 and 3, but does that point 4 now look like that the MOU be created to clearly outline responsibility and costs for the GACCD and Maranoa Regional Council and the planning execution of the event, and the MCU be brought back to council for endorsement?
Yeah,
Yep,
I think
that would be.
that's where I
suggest
think too. Yeah.
Just a question
Mm-hmm.
through the Mayor. Just on the $800 for the reserve, for the waiver of Mitchell Showgrounds hire fees. What was the council equipment and furniture hire that was part of that $800?
Tables and chairs.
No, it's Mitchell Showground hire is 800.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, as per our fees and charges, if this organisation is a not-for-profit, there is no charge. It doesn't even go against our sponsorship budget because the fee never exists for them in the first place. We're not waiving a fee because the fee doesn't exist for a not-for-profit on a council facility.
This is where it's like contradicts because we're not getting a true indication because that's still
But it's not a true indication because we're not waiving anything because the fee doesn't exist.
I think you're removing that point anyway, councillor, and I think that'll form part of that MOU.
I'm just looking at it in terms of the in-kind assistance, the estimated costs that were shared. And I should have thought about this before, but similar to the hire of the Roma sale yards, well, there is no hire there's no cost to it because it is a not-for-profit organisation accessing a council facility.
I'll just
Sorry. Well, without seeing the agreement, is it the not-for-profit sort of based around their main events, not additional events, or is it every event that, like when we looked at other ones, their main events were obviously, there's still an in-kind there, but because their main events were technically, as you say, zeroed out, the the $800, so to speak, for the Mitchell Showgrounds hire would be an additional event by the and it'd be technically an in-kind.
Because it's the showground.
Just only when he just said that twice.
Well,
it's not.
I need to declare, it's not the matter. Can you read the price?
Just, it's only that Brendan said it twice, it just clicked in my head.
Because it's
No, because that,
it's not about the Mitchell
it's
show.
not, it's not,
Well,
it's
yeah,
not,
yeah, it's not in there.
It's
It's
not
only
about
in
the
that.
Mitchell
We're not
show,
approving
and
it.
it's not even in the report, it's about, but thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
I just think, councillors, I understand what you're saying, councillor O'Neill, but like what we're trying to do is get a true capture of the costs so that we can prove to the community that this is, even though we waiver the fees.
We're not waiving the fees.
Okay, there is no fees.
That's right. So you can't have it in a budget.
That's right. So there is no fees, but yet
It's not there in the first place.
But yet it
You can't
is.
capture it if it doesn't exist.
No, so we can bring on back to a brief, councillors. There was some discussion, and it may have moved since then, but we had even with the actual waiving of, with the fee there, we're still recording it against our.
It's still it's something we're giving to the
That's
community
probably a
for in
separate discussion,
kind.
yeah.
It is still there is no fee. You're right.
So you're not waiving
But
it.
you're still supporting an event with the facility.
If Rob,
And
if there
so
was,
I think we're overthinking this.
if there was a different agreement, I can't use the one I want to use because I'm not allowed to conflict.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be coming here if the agreement, because we don't have to apply every time we hold a function.
Yeah, and this one here, there's going to be other things in that MOU, not just this. So I think you probably, councillors, by removing that point 2, that'll be all spelled out in the MOU. We can have a look at there. We'll come back to a brief and then to the council meeting, so we can look at all those. So
You've got to move in a second.
You've got to move. I just need to change what I was going to move.
Yeah, okay.
So happy to do that?
Yeah.
Councillors happy?
I've got a third point of view.
Do you want to suggest it?
Just a third point, and I'd be happy to second this with it. But 3, consider a post-event report, including profits from the event and potential donations.
Consider any profits from the event?
No, it's consider the
Consider the profits.
The expenses should already be taken out before you're considering the profits. So it's not any profits.
Net profit.
The profit could be $5.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, I move that council endorse.
Sorry, consider a post-event report, including profits from the event and potential donations.
I move that council endorse a ticketed sit-down event. I want to actually call it, council endorse a ticketed sit-down event. I want to say the beef banquet. Council endorse a ticketed sit-down beef banquet event. Does that make sense? At the Roma Sale Yards. Council endorse. Does that make sense, councillors? Council endorse a ticketed sit-down beef banquet event at the Roma Sale Yards on Wednesday, the 6th of August 2025 to mark the end of the Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive. 2, an MOU be created to clearly outline responsibilities and costs for GACCD
and Maranoa Regional Council in the planning and execution of the event and be brought back to council for endorsement. 3, consider a post-event report including profits from the event and potential donations.
You want that profit, don't you?
I said that. Consider a post-event report including profits from the event and potential donations. Can you just go up the top, Cal? I just want to make sure that sounds right.
You could just flip it and say council endorse a ticketed beef banquet event, sit-down event at the Roma Sale Yards.
Yeah. Yeah. Beef banquet, sit-down event. Yep, that'd be great.
Cal, just at the end of that Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive, just in brackets, your GACCD, so then when you get to .2 it makes sense. Yeah. Thanks.
Do I have a seconder?
I think Cameron said he was going to
I'll
second
have
it.
a second.
Sorry,
Can I just ask a question on the, your intent is to call it the beef banquet?
Yes.
So council endorse a ticketed sit-down, in inverted commas with capital letters, beef banquet event at the Roma Sale Yards, and then you're illustrating that that's the name of the event.
Yeah, maybe capital B, capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, capital B.
Yeah.
You finally got there.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak?
Thank you. Thanks for the staff to bring this back. I know it's been a long road to get here, but I think we're getting there. This is a great initiative from the Great Australian Charity Cattle Drive, and it's great that they're ending it in Roma at our premier Roma Sale Yards location. And so this is exciting for our town. It's exciting for our region. It's going to come via Mitchell, where there'll be an event there. And I just look forward to seeing the event come forward and acknowledge that the memorandum of understanding will come to a council briefing before that goes out. So thanks to the staff for working so hard and pulling all this together.
Anyone else like Councillor Burkett?
Yeah, I'm fully supportive. I know there's been a lot of questions that not only in this chamber and other forums, there was a lot of questions asked on how, there's going to be a profit and everything, but the end picture is it's for an awesome cause, and I just hope they've ticked all their boxes and got all their ducks in a row, and we can move on from here. And I know outlying centres out of our shire are going to enjoy this as well, and Mitchell obviously, and here at Roma. So hopefully it's a success for all involved, and thanks to the staff.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm happy to support this. People have commented about the initiative and what's driving it, and the support that they're receiving, and the goals for their initiative. I think for us, it's good to be good corporate citizens to support something like this, particularly with it finishing in Roma and us having the largest cattle selling centre in Australia. I think that element from us is really important to showcase our facility. These events, I think this will be the second of this type of event that I've seen in the last 20 years in Roma, in the Maranoa. They are generally very well supported by the local community, particularly if there's a good meal, a bar and some music. It's looking like that's 3 of the things that will be the recipe for this event, so I think it'll be a success. But it is a great opportunity for us to showcase what is one of our signature assets for the region in the sale yards, and to that vein, I think it's really important that we get on board.
Councillor Vincent.
Everybody's touched on the charity cattle drive in regards to what it's raising money for, and the event that we're able to put on to support the closing thing. From a tourism perspective, it's smack bang in the middle of our tourism season. There's nothing more romantic to some than to be sitting behind cattle droving. Not my cup of tea, but some people find it very romantic. So I think for us, there's a whole tourism team behind that can get on and really push this through our, the sales are on a Tuesday and it's only another night to wait for the cattle to come into town. So it'll be an awesome way for us to get overnight visitation through this tourism season.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Anyone else like to speak? Would you like to sum up, Councillor?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I know it's a great event.
but I just wanted to clarify, we seem to have got bogged down in our in-kind assistance around this event. And that's actually really important because what the council's trying to be is open and transparent across all levels and all their expenses. And whilst council does give in-kind support to many events around the region, that is at a cost. And we're happy to do it. We're just trying to get the true cost of that so that we can be open and transparent to our community. And we're just still trying to work out the best way of being able to get those, because some of those costs are already part of council officers' wages, and some of them are our equipment, and there's just so many different varying. So from the community, it might look like, you know, we're bogged down on the in-kind, but that's because to us sitting around the table, it is really important for us to know our true in-kind cost to community, but also to the community group who is receiving the in-kind. That is a level of donation and sponsorship that comes from council, even in facilities and equipment and officers' time. And so that's why that there was just so much focus about trying to get that correct in this report, because that will help us as we continue along this line of supporting events in our region.
Okay, with that, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 8-0. Anybody got anything else? If not, I'll say thank you and I'll close the meeting at 11:55.